watching Battlecast Primetime. Brothers and sisters of Nod, Kane has a special present for you. We break down the pre-sale offer for Kane's Wrath. See what prizes await those who show their undying loyalty. Still want more Kane's Wrath info? We've got the scoop on GDI, sub-factions, powers, and even a peek at the epic unit. Sam Bass walks us through a little GDI True Hollywood story. Plus, our featured match players will be the first to fight it out in Kane's Wrath, and we're there to bring you the carnage. Battlecast Primetime starts now. You're logged in to Battlecast Primetime. Along for the ride is Raj Joshi.
Hello.
I'm David Silverman.
And what a sweet ride it'll be. I can't wait to find out what we're doing for our featured match, and I heard it's going to be a big one.
I would have thought you'd been a little bit more excited about having us on the pre-sale DVD.
That is a close second. Let's find out how you can get that DVD as we bring you news from the front.
As we speak, pre-sale discs of Kane's Wrath are hitting store shelves all across the country and being shipped around the world. Included in the PC pre-order package is a DVD packed with special Command & Conquer features, including a full lineup of Command & Conquer TV programming. That's 8 total episodes of Battlecast Primetime, Command School, and Aftermath. Plus, more interviews with EA devs, behind-the-scenes footage of Kane's Wrath, gameplay videos, and exclusive map flyovers that we couldn't even get our hands on. To get a taste of the pre-sale disc, here is a segment from the documentary about the making of Kane's Wrath.
Natasha Henstridge played Alexa. She was a very complicated character. She's very close to Kane. She has an infatuation with him as him being this messiah character.
And I am loyal to the cause. To him. I will do as he commands.
Yes, I have been very lucky over the course of my career in the sci-fi world and in this franchise specifically to work with some extraordinarily beautiful. And this game is no different. Natasha Henstridge is involved in Kane's Wrath, and she's just fantastic and quite lovely. But no, I wouldn't. I wouldn't dare to compare and contrast any of them because, front to back, hands down, any of them could personally kick my butt from here till Sunday. So I don't want to piss anybody off.
Did you know that Battlecast Primetime is a huge hit in Germany? Well, we are. After the cameras have turned off here, our German cohorts take the show and translate it into German. Unfortunately, you won't see David or I in the German version because they reshoot all of our segments with German anchors. Guess I won't be needing that German dictionary I got for Christmas. And what's more, the show airs on a German cable TV network. So if you're ever in Germany, look up Battlecast Primetime Deutschland on Giga in the TV guide. Or whatever they call it.
Unless you've been hiding out under a rock, you probably know all about the new GDI and Sprint sub-factions. We've even posted some of the new units. But you want more. Oh, you greedy CNC fan. You always want more. In a few moments, one of the story creators behind Kane's Wrath will be joining us to talk about the rich fiction of the Global Defense Initiative's new sub-factions. Later on, we will show you some of GDI's new powers and upgrades. And if you haven't been naughty, we might just let you in on a little secret, the GDI Epic Unit. But first, Raj, give us a little background.
The Steel Talons vigilantly watch for a successor to Kane, preparing for that time by researching experimental combat technology. The Steel Talons are ruthless and efficient on the battlefield, and believe that they can and should outgun any foe. ZOCOM, Zone Operations Command, is a GDI task force assigned to reclaim high Tiberium areas. While most soldiers cannot endure significant Tiberium exposure, ZOCOM are battle-hardy and have Tiberium-resistant armor. They use this and more advanced sonic weaponry to their tactical advantage. To learn more about the Steel Talons and ZOCOM and the story behind them, David's talking with a special guest.
That's right. Once again, it's my privilege and honor to be joined by Kane's Wrath lead designer and co-author, Sam Bass. Sam, welcome back to Battlecast Primetime. You've already survived the firing squad once, but we want another shot at you.
Bring it on, David.
Kane's Wrath takes place before, during, and after the events of Command & Conquer 3 Tiberium Wars, and includes 2 new GDI sub-factions complete with advanced hover technology and Tiberium research. Without that kind of new advancements, how are you making sure you're not contradicting the events of Command & Conquer 3 in the fiction?
We put a lot of thought into that, David, because we really didn't want to contradict existing canon. We really wanted to support it. For instance, the GDI Steel Talon sub-faction are a bridge between the technology and combat philosophy of Tiberian Sun and Firestorm and the world of CNC3. So they have some bridge units. They have units like the Behemoth, which is sort of a precursor to the Juggernaut. They have units like the Titan and the Wolverine, which existed in the world of Tiberian Sun. And then Zocom exist in parallel with the world of CNC3. And thus they have CNC3 core units that have been modified to suit their particular fiction and backstory, and some new units, such as the Zocom Zone Shatterer, which is a spin on the GDI Shatterer unit with some particularly Zocom technology.
Okay, now you mentioned Zocom having more heavy armor and stuff like that. Why is that?
Well, Zocom designed around the idea of Tiberium abatement. They were initiated by the GDI Council to abate Tiberium in the red zones and start reclaiming the Earth. So yes, they're very heavily armored because they have to exist in almost alien hostile conditions. They have weapons designed around sonic technology because sonic technology is pretty much the only way to abate Tiberium. So they have things like the Zone Shatterer I previously mentioned. And they also have units like the unused Zone Raider, which is a female, heavily armored elite infantry unit with a sonic grenade weapon. Makes it extremely dangerous in combat and a very useful anti-Tiberium unit.
So now what kind of, Command & Conquer player would choose to play as Zocom?
Well, Zocom is not conducive to rush play because they're very high risk, high reward. You really have to plan out your battle groups. You really have to think about your unit combinations and build order. So you're not going to rush in the early game, but once you have a good army put together, you've really thought about your unit combinations, you can get in there and use some of these high risk, high reward attacks. So you can steamroll an opponent in the mid game, but in the early game you really have to turtle up and get to that power.
So it sounds like Zocom is more of a tanking turtle faction. Does that mean Steel Talon is a rushing faction?
Those Steel Talons are definitely more conducive to rushing. They have some really powerful early game vehicle units, some pretty good early game infantry and upgrades. And so yeah, they you can't just rush with them and win, but they're definitely more conducive to rush play.
And where exactly does Steel Talons fit in sort of the before, during, and after CNC timeline?
They're somewhere between the world of Tiberian Sun and the world of Command & Conquer 3. And fictionally, they're kind of the DARPA of the Command & Conquer world. They're designed around experimental technology, new ways to fight in the battlefield, customization. A lot of their units have a garrisonable, so you can put different infantry units in there and really change the way they fight. And they have things like the Titan and the Wolverine, which are very old school, but still quite valuable in exchange for things like the Predator tank, which hadn't been developed at the time that GDI were active in the post-Tiberian Sun world.
So it's kind of a Command & Conquer 2.5 faction, if you will.
Yes, very much so.
Sam Bass, once again, you've dodged a bullet. Thanks for coming back on the show.
It's a pleasure, David.
In a little while, producer Jim Basello will walk us through some of those new GDI powers. But first, we've got 5 great matchups coming right up. Raj, get back here. It's time for the Battlecast 5. A GDI mirror on Tournament Arena between Caecilius and Orange Crush. Crush expands to his blue field with a Surveyor, while Caecilius rushes his opponent's green field with a forward base. Caecilius sends in Predators and Rockets, then Juggernauts and Zone Troopers. Crush simply cannot hold the front line against that onslaught. Meanwhile, Caecilius has free reign over an entire half of the map, which he takes full advantage of with 7 refineries, a tech center, plus an untouched blue field. After countless attempts, Crush's commando finally eliminates the forward base and a few Juggernauts, bringing the war to Caecilius. I've got a present for ya! Crush, wanting to put a little surprise under Caecilius' tree, hides a sniper in his enemy's base and uses the Juggernaut's bombard ability to take out a tech center and a crane from across the map. With an army of Zone Troopers, a commando, and a well-placed shockwave artillery, Crush lives up to his name against Caecilius.
4. Das Bow GDI vs. Himura number 9 Nod on pipeline problems. Himura kicks it off with 8 rocket bikes, successfully picking off a few harvesters. He walks his MCV midfield and digs in, barely finishing his airfield before a dozen Predators roll up. Luckily, the airfield goes up just in time to call a mine drop as the rocket militants and Black Hand arrive. Crisis averted! Woo! Himura pushes forward and drops a catalyst missile before retreating. In what can only be described as an underused nod strategy, Himura turtles and spams obelisks, lighting up Daspo's forces like Rockefeller Center. With 5 obelisks against his front line, Daspo mounts one last offensive before throwing in the towel. Himura number 9 zaps his way to victory.
3. Liang Style for the win, Nod versus H2O Pro Gamer Skrin on Tournament Dust Bowl. What's with these names? Liang Style rushes with Scorpions, but Pro Gamer counters with Charged Devourers and Corruptors. Full steam ahead! After wiping the floor with those Scorpions, Pro Gamer force fires his Corruptors on the rest of his army to heal them up. He doesn't call himself Pro Gamer for nothing. Meanwhile, Liang Style gets a few flame tanks into the back of Pro Gamer's base, but his drone platform takes to the skies and Pro Gamer's Devourers mop up the tanks. The conflict moves to both players' expansions. Charged Devourers hold Pro Gamer's expansion field and stealth tanks almost hold Liang Style's. But Pro Gamer drops a storm column and Liang Style doesn't have an umbrella. Pro Gamer gets both expansions as we go to the final push. Liang Style, desperate to get anything going, drops a Tiberium Vapor Bomb, but it's just not enough to take out Pro Gamer's onslaught of shielded tripods. Looks like it's Liang Style for the loss, Raj.
2.
A nod mirror between Avilo and Lithis on Small Town, USA. Both players opt for early flame tank harassment, but Lithis gets a little creative and throws some stealth tanks in the mix. He ultimately fails in his rush, but still drops a devastating catalyst missile on Avilo's refinery and Tiberium research facility. Avilo's stealth tanks attacked a northern expansion and managed to take out a few avatars. Lithis continues to lay siege to Avilo's southern expansion with avatars and, what's this? A Tiberium Vapor Bomb! Things look dire at Lithis' expansion, so he recalls his avatars, but while in transit, Avilo's EMP-enabled buggies and stealth tanks level the expansion. A day late and a buck short, Lithis sends his avatars back, but holy crap! EMP buggies, mine drop, catalyst missiles, stealth tanks, and laser venoms give the avatars a goodnight kiss. I think I even saw the kitchen sink in there. Lithis has no choice but to submit.
1.
Titus GDI versus Kung Fu Rabbit Nod on the newly redesigned Tournament Tower. In what could have been the shortest game in the Five's history, Rabbit's flame tanks almost take out Titus's entire main base. Fortunately, Rabbit was kind enough to leave a conhyard and refinery. Toying with his prey, Rabbit attacks with stealth tanks, leaving Titus with only a war factory, ops center, and refinery at the tower expansion. Titus gets up before the count and puts his Predator army on the prowl to level Rabbit's conhyard and expansion. Rabbit is down to just 2 refineries and a power plant, none of which can make any more units. Titus is about ready to pull off the comeback of the century, but Rabbit is able to counter with some uber micro as EMP buggies and a single heroic stealth tank fight off the entire horde of GDI. This is Sparta! Rabbit is now left with only a severely damaged power plant, but continues to hold out. Titus sends every last rifleman at the power plant, but the heroic stealth tank prevails and snatches victory from the jaws of defeat. With 1 power plant and 1 stealth tank, Kung Fu Rabbit gets the win. Hiya! And there's your 5 for this month.
The 5, brought to you by Burnout Paradise. Available in stores January 22nd on the PS3 and Xbox 360. Team up or take down Paradise together.
Wow, that last match was one for the books. When we return, we'll take a look at GDI's new powers and upgrades, and hopefully the GDI Epic unit will make an appearance. Plus, APOC takes us to Community Day, and later, 4 lucky players will be the first in our featured match to use Kane's Wrath. All this when Battlecast Primetime continues on Command & Conquer TV.
Welcome back to Battlecast Primetime. I'm David Silverman. Now that we know all about Zocom and Steel Talons, let's dial up producer Jim Vasella via satellite to show us what new abilities and upgrades they bring to the table. Hi, Jim.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to our top secret Kane's Wrath Underground testing lab. We have our new GDI upgrades and support powers loaded up and ready to go. Now remember, we're still a few months out from release, so some of these may change as we continue our balance testing. Let's jump right in. First up, we have our new sonic repulsion field. You may have seen this in some of our screenshots. This power casts a wall around any of your structures to prevent enemy engineers and commandos from attacking that structure. Now, the sonic repulsion field will go down if the building takes a significant amount of damage, so you're going to want to keep it protected as long as you can. Now, in terms of late game powers, the first one is our orbital bombardment. This throws down some kinetic energy projectiles from space to do some heavy damage. This is a great power to use against enemy vehicles and structures. We also have our new supersonic air attack. This is great against enemy aircraft like Devastator warships and planetary assault carriers. Now we're going to jump into the Steel Talons and look at some of their new railgun powers. So the Steel Talons are all about railguns. This means that when you purchase the railgun upgrade, your Guardian cannons are also going to receive that weapon. Now we also have a new power in the game called the Railgun Accelerator. This means that when you use that power, all of your railgun equipped units like the Titan and the Mammoth tank and even those Guardian cannons will be able to fire at a much faster rate. However, it has a double-edged sword effect where those units will also take damage over time. So you're going to want to keep them healed with some repair APCs or perhaps a rig. So let's now move on to some of the upgrades you're going to find on the GDI side in Kane's Wrath. It's worth noting that we've actually moved some of the upgrades down to Tier 2, including the Stratofighter booster, the power plant's advanced turbines, and also the sensor pods. We've also moved those to some different buildings like the command post and the airfield. This has really helped in our balance testing. I think you're going to like some of the new adjustments. Now, in terms of our new upgrades, the first one is the hardpoints upgrade. This is actually on the airfield and increases the ammo capacity of your Orcas and your Firehawks to give them more firepower for every attack run they make. We also have a universal AP ammo upgrade, which increases the attack damage of all of your gun-based units. So things like APCs, riflemen, watchtowers, even your new Hammerhead gunship and the Steel Talons Wolverine will receive this upgrade. This upgrade is great to use against some enemy heavy infantry like our new Cyborg units. For our new Zocom subfaction, they also receive a few unique upgrades. First off are the Tiberium field suits, which are needed to help operate deep in those red zones. The field suits replace the composite armor upgrade and increases even more so the armor of those infantry. It also gives them more resistance to Tiberium-based weapons and also the Tiberium effects on the battlefield. The ceramic armor upgrade increases the hit points and armor of your Orcas, Firehawks, and Hammerheads. This allows them to stay alive much longer and do devastating hit and run attacks. We also have a very special treat for you GDI fans today. We're now ready to show off our new GDI epic unit, the Marv. So let's jump right in. First off, the Marv is built from one of our new structures, the Reclamator Hub. This is an advanced war factory that has the ability to specifically create the Marv. Once the Marv comes out, you can do a few really cool things with it. First off, you can garrison any type of infantry unit into the Marv and add on weapon segments. You can actually garrison 4 squads into the Marv, totally customizing what type of weapons you want that unit to have. The Marv also has a really unique function in that it can eat up Tiberium straight off the battlefield, almost like a vacuum cleaner. You drive it over a Tiberium field, get an instant boost to your economy, or heck, even drive it over an enemy's field and completely deny their economy. It's a great way to really boost up your credits. The Marv also comes with this amazing triple-barreled cannon, which can just decimate an enemy base in seconds. We think you're gonna love this unit. Can't wait for you to try it out. That's all I can disclose for now. GDI fans, eat your hearts out. Back to you, Raj.
I'm sure all you GDI fans, David included, are salivating after that. But the expansion pack is called Kane's Wrath. What about, well, Kane? Let's take a peek at what he's up to in his self-titled expansion in a segment I'd like to call Story Time with David Silverman.
Travel with me now, back in time, to the end of Tiberian Sun Firestorm. In the aftermath of the Second Tiberium War, the Brotherhood of Nod lies in ruin. Kane is presumed dead, and the surviving members have split into warring factions, leaving GDI in control of a Tiberium-ravaged Earth. Unbeknownst to anyone, Kane is far from dead. Horrifically injured and seething with anger, he bides his time in a bunker deep beneath the Earth's scarred crust, preparing for his final, most desperate gambit. Before Kane can resume his plans, he must reunify the Brotherhood and gain a standing army. With simmering tension among the South and Central American underclass as his catalyst, he triggers a violent uprising in Rio de Janeiro. The ensuing violence draws various Nod splinter factions out of the woodwork. Initially contemptuous of the reformed Brotherhood, soon they are defeated and once again kneel at the feet of the Tiberium Prophet. With his new formed army in hand, Kane sets his sights on a bigger target, Brother Marcion. A leader of the Black Hand, once a respected religious figure within the Brotherhood, in the aftermath of Kane's alleged death, he became a hugely influential figure among the former Nod faithful. Marcion is the only one standing in the way of Kane's reborn Brotherhood of Nod. The story continues through Kane's involvement in the Third Tiberium War, from preparing for the attack on the Philadelphia to the ion cannon at Temple Prime and the real motivations of Killian's betrayal. As the aliens arrive, Kane's attention shifts wholly to one artifact, the Tacitus. What is it? Why is it key? You'll have to prove your faith to Kane before we can fill you in.
Soon the wait will be over and you can experience this epic campaign for yourself. But for now, it's time to experience the epicness of Aaron APOC Kaufman, who's here to deliver to you all the news by the fans, for the fans in APOC's Community Corner.
All right, everyone, happy holidays and happy new year, and welcome to 2008, the year Kane shows his wrath once again, and then, of course, falls into his sorrowful demise. We all know that big, bald, hooded man can't keep the world spinning like I can. So check it out, Kane. This year, you can be my personal apprentice. Yo, taking infantry to the school with buzzers, yo, and making Warren G and Snoop Dogg proud, John W.E. of CNCfiles.com has just released his first official rap music video.
I'm gonna tell you a story about CNC3, so pull up your chairs and turn up your speakers. I'm gonna rock the mic like an Iron Man strike.
I don't know what to say, it just doesn't get any better than this. So check out John W.E. and his CNC pimps in the most entertaining Command & Conquer rap music video ever at CNCfiles.com. Word. Tiberian Dawn, the game that started it all, is being rebuilt and reimagined as a total conversion mod for Command & Conquer 3. And let me tell you, these guys aren't leaving one nostalgic element of the original game left behind. Not even those Tiberium trees. Using our mod SDK to its full creative capacity, the team is converting nearly every unit from the original Tiberian Dawn tech tree to the visual quality of Command & Conquer 3. From sprites to shaders we go, hit up their official site at TiberianDawn.com and be sure to check out Toxin's weekly blog on the latest happenings of this mod. The CNC fans from Poland have been die-hard fanatics since the series began. Check out www.cc-series.pl for one of the top Polish Command & Conquer fan sites. Everyone knows Germany is home to, quite frankly, the craziest Command & Conquer fans around the world. I mean, did you see us last August at the Leipzig Games Convention? Apart from that, EA Germany has put together an amazing community team website at www.ea-ct.de. You know what? It is truly impressive. Check out their website now and support our German friends. And finally, early last month, we hosted our official community summit for Command & Conquer 3 Kane's Wrath, your favorite expansion pack coming later this year. We flew in 25 of the top CNC and Xbox 360 community leaders from around the world from some of your favorite fan sites. Check out this quick recap to see how all the action unfolded.
They're incredible. I mean, the amount they add to the game. I'm a fan of the Steel Talons. I mean, the Titan's back, the Wolverine's back, and they got new upgrades and everything. And I mean, the Juggernaut's got the bunker on it. There's a lot of more garrisonable things. There's a lot of more options, and that's pretty cool, I think.
I've always been interested in the Command & Conquer games. They've been the best out there. I could give you a list of 503 reasons why Command & Conquer is the best series out there. It still holds my attention, and they told everybody here all about the game, gave us a cool unit overview, talked about the story, why they decided to do certain things in the game certain ways, a basic overview. So basically, we have a full, live, complete intelligence debriefing of Command & Conquer 3 Kane's Wrath like nobody else has.
While some fans have tested Kane's wrath, others have tested the knowledge of Amir Rao. He's here again to field your questions in a segment we call Ask a Developer.
Thanks, guys. I'm Amir Rao, designer on Command & Conquer 3, and I'm here to answer all your questions for Ask a Developer. The first question comes from Commando Illyrium. He asks, will Cabal return for Kane's Wrath? Yes, Cabal will play an integral part of the story in Kane's Wrath, and you can expect to see him and his cyborg army. In fact, the cyborgs are a key part of one of the game's sub-factions. Okay, our next question here comes from Manson. He asks, will it be like 0 Hour with the original factions and sub-factions available, or will only the sub-factions be available? To answer your question, it will be like 0 Hour, where you'll be able to play as the sub-factions or the core factions. In fact, the core factions have been given their own new content, so you have strategic reasons to play all 9 armies. Okay, our next question here comes from Pizza Atomica. Pizza Atomica asks, how do the laser fences and force fields that we have seen around structures in the Kane's Wrath screenshots work? The Nod laser fences and GDI sonic repulsion fields are cast via support power. This support power can be used on any of your individual structures and can be used on multiple structures. Once it is used, it protects your buildings from engineers and commandos and provides an armor boost. You have to be careful though. If the building takes damage, it's vulnerable again. Our final question here comes from Akis the Greek. He asks, why can't I watch replays of games I saved on a previous patch? Actually, you can. Your replays are stored in the My Documents folder under Command & Conquer 3. You simply have to locate the old replay and double-click the icon, and it will open in an older version of the game. Well, that's all for now. I'm Amir Rao with Ask a Developer. Back to you guys.
Keep those questions coming and see if you can stump Amir. In our inaugural Kane's Challenge, Dackle spanked Chaos and became Kane's favored son. But can he hold his commander spot against a new challenger?
To up the ante, Kane has decided to reward his most loyal commander. We all know that Kane's Wrath will be hitting store shelves later this year. Whichever player can hold out and win Kane's Challenge when it ships will walk away with a hand-picked prize and become inducted into the Brotherhood. Can Dackle defeat all opponents in his way, or will someone finally take him down? Tonight we've got Optic, who wants the first shot at upsetting Kane's Chosen One in Kane's Challenge. And what would Kane's Challenge be like without our favorite strategists, Greg Black and Jason Bender? Welcome, guys.
Hey guys, great to be here.
We're their favorite.
So tell us a little bit about Optic and what makes him an appropriate challenger.
Well, he's the #1 seed for November. He prefers to play Nod. He's got about 100 hours of gameplay under his belt so far.
And like Dackle, he's from Germany.
So we are going to see a Deutschland showdown today.
And now it's time for our legendary pre-game feature, the pick of the match. Dackle dominated in the last competition. Do you think Optic can best him?
You know, Optic is going to have a really hard time. Dackle is undefeated on CNC TV. I got to give the pick to Dackle.
Me too. I mean, Dackle is just a solid player, and it's going to take a long time before we see someone beat him on the show.
And Raj, what do you think?
Well, I'm going to have to go with Optic. I think he's going to set his sights on Dackle.
Well, there you have it. I'm actually going to go with Dackle. The guy's been on the show 3 times. We're going to see 3 wins. I'm sure Kane, though, will be pleased with this clash of commanders. Here to kick off the challenge himself is the Messiah.
Brother, I have a new challenger for you. There are many great warriors within the Brotherhood, but only one can be the best. You shall fight for the glory of the Brotherhood. Only one of you will survive. Who will answer Kane's challenge?
Here we are on Tournament Arena. We've got Optic playing his Nod on the upper left-hand side, Dackle playing his GDI in the lower right. Jason, what do you think we can expect today?
Well, we know what Dackle plays like. He wins pretty much every time we see him. A lot of good micro, but he's going to build up back this base while he's distracting you.
And you can see they've already got the expansion bases going up, fighting over the tip spikes. This is the sort of early game micro that could decide the game.
Yeah, so we're already seeing use of APCs. That's a Dackle trademark for micro. What's he doing there?
Look at that. He just evacuated his engineer and then put it immediately back into the APC, but Optic sold those buildings thinking that the engineer was going to grab them. That's just some excellent strategy on Dackle's part.
It looked like Dackle knew he was going to do that. That's the kind of stuff you see from great players. But in this case, instead of deploying again, he deployed a minefield.
Yeah, I think he knew that APC was done for and just wanted to get a little more damage done before it died.
And it did look like he was attracting a lot of attention, so that was a good bet. But now we have Optic up here in the upper right attacking one of his expansions.
Yeah, it's 4 or 5 Scorpion tanks going after that blue field. It looks like Dackle just plopped down a war factory. What do you think he's doing with that?
So he's using it for the repair from the looks of it. And just to keep his units alive long enough to bring in reinforcements and get his harvesters out of there.
Unbelievable. Dackel just sent out another APC with an engineer in it, grabbed a refinery, and has built a barracks. He just will not let that expansion field alone.
It looks like he's going to pump out some more engineers to take the whole thing over, but there is a harvester sitting right in front of the barracks.
Wow, that's really smart. As soon as something comes out of there, you can just run it right over, and it's stealth, so Dackel's not going to know.
Oh, an engineer, that's costly. Forcing him to sell off the barracks, Dackel knows that he's not going to be able to achieve anything down there under the circumstances.
Yeah, it just takes off. But, you know, I think it's okay because this is classic Dackel strategy right here. Look at all these Predator tanks.
He does like to build up Predators. Predators are incredibly reliable. They're a very efficient way to kill tanks, but he's lost an expansion, so that's going to slow down his production.
And we've got a couple of avatars over here on Optic's side. I don't know if he's got enough. I mean, I'm seeing 3 there versus, holy crap, this many Predators. That's going to be a rough fight.
A lot of tanks, but they're turning around. It looks like 4 or 5 avatars was enough to chase them off.
Yeah, he should be able to just run right in there and stomp them. I wonder what's going on. He obviously feels he's got something down at his base that's more important.
We got a battle marker down there. There's something going on. And it looks like that something is a whole bunch of upgraded Scorpions raiding his base. That's enough to bring your tanks home.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, not an insignificant force, but still dwarfed by Dackel's main one. And look at this. Looks like he's going for the tech center.
So we took out the tech center, but that's not going to help him because Dackel is relying on Predators, which are already upgraded. So the tech center doesn't help him at all. So unfortunately, that attack, while well-timed and pretty strong, didn't do much damage. And now he's going to have to contend with a whole bunch of Predators coming back at him.
Yeah, now those avatars, you know, they're outnumbered, but they can crush, so they should just be charging forward into the enemy lines.
This is one of the few chances that you have at CNC to wade into the enemy, and now is when he should be doing it because he can crush a few more. But I guess he's just going to stand and fire, doing some damage, but upgraded Predators, that large number of Predators, they just dish out way too much damage.
Yeah, I mean, that's got to hurt, you know. Even with those avatars, you just can't do anything against it. And his base is just getting maimed here.
Yeah, even the Obelisk started slowing him down. That's just far too much damage. But that's classic Dackel strategy. So, you kids at home, you should try this. It seems like it works every time.
Yeah, micro, hang back at your base, build lots of Predators, and then just send them forward and crush your enemy.
Good old-fashioned overrunning.
You continue to impress me, Commander. You have earned your spot in the Brotherhood for now. Go forth and lead my armies to victory.
Dackel is unstoppable. Surely someone can rise up and answer Kane's challenge.
I don't know, Raj. Dackel's been undefeated in Battlecast Primetime. I think we're going to see that trend continue. In the meantime, coming up, 4 players from Community Day battle it out in an epic 2v2 in Kane's Wrath. All the new units, new powers, and on an all-new map. See how they fare when Battlecast Primetime continues on Command & Conquer TV.
Ooh, Silverman, always a good man. What you got for me, buddy? Oh, God! Command & Conquer Saga! Woohoo! Yeah! Yeah! Woo! Saga! Saga! Woohoo! Saga! Saga! Woo! It's gonna be great! Woo! 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 Everybody! Woo! 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 Yeah!
Welcome back. I'm Raj Joshi. For the first time ever, 4 players are going to fight it out in our first ever 2v2 featured match, and if that isn't big enough, they'll be playing Kane's Wrath. Oh, the madness and mayhem! And because we can't get enough of them, here's Greg Black and Jason Bender.
You know, I can't get enough of myself either.
Neither can I.
All 4 of the players in tonight's featured match visited EA Los Angeles in December for Community Day. We had all 26 of them play in a bracketed tournament and selected 4 to move on to tonight's featured match. It's time to meet each one in person as we go through the eyes.
Hi, I'm Sebastian Friedkau, age 21, from Berlin, Germany. I'm a student studying IT and history, and I started playing CNC in 1996 with Tiberian Dawn. My favorite CNC game is Realer 2 because of the multiplayer balance, and today I will play as SOCOM.
I'm Ulrich Piaczynski and I'm from Düsseldorf, Germany. I'm selling contracts for a company in communication. I've been playing CNC since 1995, and my favorite game is Tiberian Wars because the graphics and the balancing patch 109. Today I'm playing Steel Italian and we rule.
Hi, I'm David Rees from Knutsford, Cheshire in England, and right now I'm a student. I'll be going to Manchester University do computer science in September. I've been playing Command & Conquer since 1997 with Red Alert and other games like that. My favourite game of all is probably Tiberian Dawn because it's most original and most realistic in my opinion. And today I'll be playing as Mark of Cain, and because Cain rules. Yeah!
Hi, I'm Benjamin Garwig, age 18 from Schweinfurt, Germany. And I'm in high school and I've been playing CNC since Tiberian Sun because I like the atmosphere and the story. Today I'm going to play the Black Hand.
With 4 players in this match, we'll need a bigger battlefield. Greg, tell us about this never-before-seen 4-player Cain's Wrath map in your Battleground Reconnaissance.
Crosstown Conflict is a 4-player Cain's Wrath map still early in development. Our GDI players will be starting in the north on opposite sides of a small town. The Tiberium fields are walled in to protect harvesters. On either side of the map there is a tip spike with 2 bunkers, and in the center there are 2 blue fields. 2 turrets overlook the fields to harass enemy harvesters. Dead center is a subway hub that connects to either town, both of which hold a number of garrisons and a tip spike. Our Nod players will be starting in the south today, and since this is a ranked match, the starting areas are symmetrical.
Well, it's Black Hand and Marked of Cain versus Zocom and Steel Talons. Greg, Jason, which team do you think will be able to claim victory in this classic clash-up of GDI and Nod? Let's go around for our pick of the match.
You know, I'm a big fan of the Spectre artillery piece. I'm hoping to see a lot of them, so I'm going to have to give my vote to Nod.
I want to see some Titans out there. If we see Titans, I'm going for GDI.
Spotlight shines on Raj Joshi. All eyes look at you. Are you GDI or are you Nod?
I gotta say, Dave, today there will be a purification! I choose the Black Hand.
Female zone troopers with sonic grenades? Can't go wrong with that. I pick Zocom and Steel Talons to take it home. All right, the wait is over. Which team will take home the kosher holiday ham? Gentlemen, it's go time. Tonight's matchup is between the Marked of Cain and the Black Hand versus Zocom and Steel Talons on Crosstown Conflict.
Here we are on Crosstown Conflict, a brand new Cain's Wrath map. Jason, what are we looking at?
Well, we've got a couple of sub-factions playing today, the first of which is the Black Hand on the bottom right.
You know, I actually asked them to name that the Greg Black Hand, but they wouldn't do it.
Should have given him the Greg Black backhand. In any case, well, the one thing they don't have is stealth harvesters, and that's something you got to learn when you play these dudes. Otherwise, you're going to get hit by a turret.
Yeah, and losing a harvester this early on in the game, generally ill-advised. That's going to hurt a lot.
As embarrassing as it is painful. So moving across the map, actually due north, his enemy, which will be imminently coming into his base, the Zocom. These guys are all about the sonic weapons. Sonic tanks, these shatter as we call them, do a number on your base if it's not defended, so you better have enough money when they get there.
Well, money may be a problem considering you just lost a harvester.
And across the map, we have the Steel Talons coming in with some Titans, which you might recognize from Tiberian Sun. These are a little slower than Predators, but they're a bit tougher. They're fighting some Reckoners. Reckoners are APCs, which really only do good when you've got guys in them. These are a bunch of empty APCs. This isn't going to help. They're going to get stopped by those Titans.
Yeah, they just absolutely got wrecked. Pardon the pun.
Indeed, and the Marked of Cain is the faction on the bottom left who is currently getting stopped. What are they going to do to keep those Titans out of their base? This could be an early defeat for them.
Yeah, well, I mean, they've got guys pouring out of that barracks, but they're just getting mowed down the second they leave. I'm not sure what they're going to do.
So we'll leave that for the moment, because on the right we've got Shatterers, just as we said, coming into the base of the Black Hand, and there's not much holding them off.
And those Shatterers are just going to wreck that war factory in no time flat. You got another building popping up right in front of him. The Shatterer is doing more damage to this Black Hand base.
But he's got a Purifier out. This is Black Hand's primary anti-tank weapon. A Purifier is an avatar that comes with a flamethrower out of the box.
And in just an incredible bout of bad timing, here we go. A bunch of infantry have been summoned in right in front of that walking barbecue mech.
We were going to introduce you to the brand new Zone Raider unit, but it looks like they were barbecued right out of the pod, so that's going to have to happen later. On the upper left, we have the Reckoner on the way into the Steel Talons base. What do you think he's got in there?
Well, I mean, I think the choices are obvious. It's either going to be an engineer or some commandos, and I'm guessing a commando.
Well, it's an improvement this time because he has something in there. In this case, it does appear to be a commando on her way in this case, to the Conyard.
And that Conyard goes down hard, and then, the hammers take out that commando.
Please, Hammer, don't hurt him. So on the bottom right, we have the Black Hand base once again. It looks like he survived the initial onslaught from the Shatterers. That Purifier took him out.
And here we've got One of the Black Hand's special abilities, a decoy Temple of Nod. That thing is not real. GDI doesn't know it, and they're about to use a very expensive superpower to take out a decoy.
And that's exactly what you want it for. You want it to make your enemy waste money, and especially in the form of a giant power like this one.
Yeah, it doesn't look like he took anything out but the decoy. That was an extremely well-placed fake temple.
So that orbital bombardment didn't end up too much for the Zocom. Speaking of heavy powers, we have a Tiberium vein detonation on the upper left for the Steel Talons. The base was very heavily clumped, so looks like there's not much left of it.
Yeah, that's that's the risk you take when you make your base easy to defend by making it small. All he's got left is 3 refineries, and looks like a catalyst missile just went off there.
Yeah, it took out most of his harvesters, so I guess the Steel Talons are basically out of the fight. Just to make sure, the Marked of Cain are going to send a Commando and some Enlightened up there. The Enlightened are kind of like Nod's version of the Zone Trooper. Very dangerous, no matter who they're fighting.
And here we have a Commando just destroying those Zone Raiders. You know, we want to introduce them to you, but they just keep getting slaughtered.
Well, they're really good against bases, not so much against anti-infantry units. Speaking of bases getting knocked out, the Commando has finally done the job and wiped out Steel Talon once and for all. On the bottom right, we have the Zocom has abandoned their Shatterers. Forget it, we don't even need them. We're just going to go all Mammoths to take out the Black Hand the old-fashioned way.
And that Black Hand base just getting destroyed. It looks like we're back to a one-on-one game here.
So that's the Marked of Cain in the bottom left versus the Zocom in the upper right. The Zocom guys rolling deep with Mammoths. The Marked of Cain are going to have to go for a Hail Mary to pull this victory out.
And there's the Hail Mary you speak of, Jason. We've got more Reckoners headed into that base. I just don't see how 4 of these guys are really going to turn the tide when there are that many enemy Mammoth tanks.
So under ideal circumstances, these Reckoners can carry more than 1 guy each, which means you could be rolling in with 8 Engineers, which would be enough to win. But those were all decoys, so it looks like it's just 1 Commando.
And here come the Hammerheads just murdering that Commando. Not much you can do.
That was a final suicide mission, and here come the Mammoths from the south. They've knocked out the power plants, those obelisks have gone dark. That looks like it's going to be the end for the Marked of Cain.
Yeah, this is GG, GDI victory. Cain is not going to be pleased yet again.
So Zocom for the first sub-faction win that we've seen. Good job, Zocom.
Well played. We'll start out as we always do by looking at the Units tab. You can see here there's a lot of stuff going on, but there's one just dominating line, and that's the Zocom player. This was all about units. He built a ton of them, he used them well, and that's what won him the victory.
One thing we noticed today was that the infantry wasn't very dominant. We saw those Zone Raiders get wiped out time and time again. It was all about vehicles. The new factions have a lot of strong vehicles, and you've got to bring your anti-vehicle stuff, like Purifiers and things like that, if you're going to stop Shatterers and Mammoths coming into your base. So vehicle dominance was the way of the game today.
And you can see here on the Structures tab, the Marked of Cain player, he went really heavy on Structures, way more than every other player, and it just didn't work out for him. Structures can't go into the enemy's base and win the game for you.
And even a couple of Reckoners and Commandos wasn't enough. It's all about the tank rush in this case.
We had some great teamwork going on, but surely one individual outshined the rest. Who earns our coveted play of the match?
I'm going to give it to the Zocom player, because at the beginning of the game, he knocked out the enemy's Harvester. He knew they were low on money, so he followed it up with Shatterers. That took out a couple buildings in the base, punched the enemy in the nose, put the Black Hand player on his heels. He followed it up with Mammoths, and then it was over.
Greg, Jason, as always, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having us. See you next month.
And as one last gift, we'll show you some Cain's Wrath bloopers from the pre-sale disc, under the credits. Pre-order your copy now and take home all the bonus content of our pre-sale DVD.
And as always, remember to Battlecast your match for a shot to be featured here on Battlecast Primetime. For Raj Joshi, I'm David Silverman, and we'll see you on the battlefield.
Your markings do something that is further down on the prompter. But you're not coming in. That's the long and the short of it.
The TASIS is called.
I cannot let you connect to the something with it.
Maybe we'll make that
I'm not doing anything interesting, really.
Were you checking your email?
I am checking my email. I'll give you guys a high sign if I do anything interesting, and we'll bring you on over. But pretty much, I'm not doing anything interesting at all. Just see it out.